Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Now, we'll all do just about anything to get good information about guns and shooting and ammo and everything else. And our next guest here, he took time out just a minute ago from being in line at the airport. He's checking in, going somewhere. Jason St. John joins us with SIG SAUER. Jason, thanks so much for your patience and for getting us, getting on here.
Well, I appreciate your patience, Tom. And I apologize for being on the go, but just the nature of where I'm at.
Are you going to or from? Where are you headed?
Heading up to New Hampshire to the factory. We've got our SIG Experience grand opening, and I believe you said you were going to be there. So we have a lot of influencers, and obviously it's an important day for us to open up that new facility and get a showcase SIG to the public.
Exactly. You might just explain what the SIG Experience is.
Okay. Yeah. So it's it's a sprawling complex, if I would say so. Realistically, when you enter into the facility, it's an expansion of our pro shop, which showcases obviously all of our firearms, our accessories, and all of the things that SIG does. And then where it really gets interesting is it opens up into a museum that takes the history of SIG and shows firearms and their development from the beginning until today, and a lot of our contract wins and the importance of what some of those military accomplishments have meant to our commercial side of the business. And then it goes into, I think there's 4 live fire bays, indoor range facilities that are open 365 days a year. So, Of course, up in New Hampshire, that's quite important, right? There's a few cold months up in that neck of the woods.
And a little bit of snow, yeah.
Yep. And so that's an exciting thing, but it also allows our SIG Academy to conduct classes year-round. I think one of the ranges is purely dedicated to the SIG Academy. And then, one of them is a flex between the two, and 2 are full-time, quote-unquote civilian ranges, where individuals can come in and rent, anything from the entire SIG portfolio and have an opportunity to shoot it before they buy it.
Oh, wow. You get to try all the different SIG guns. And this is for those who are wondering, this is in Exeter, New Hampshire. You can take a look at it. It's where the SIG Academy is. I'll be flying up there in a couple of days. We're going to spend a few days at the range. And actually, I believe we're going to be actually seeing some new guns introduced that we'll be able to talk about at some point. Can't quite talk about them just yet. Let me ask you this, Jason. You're very much involved in the ammo side of business. What's going on at SIG? When people say, what's happening right now in ammo, what's the first thing you start talking about?
Well, the first thing I would talk about is the hybrid ammo, because I fully feel that it's a paradigm shift. And I think a lot of times in industry, you hear a lot of people talk about technology shifts and, this new era of X. And I really believe that the hybrid ammo truly is that. So, the hybrid ammo is the heart of our NGSW system. If you look at our recent NGSW win, you could kind of look at it and say it's kind of a, similar submission in the aspect that it's a, AR-10-ish type rifle, and it's a belt-fed, standard open bolt belt-fed machine gun. But what makes them so next generational is that hybrid ammo. And so, traditional ammos, they fail around, of course, if I say numbers, I'll get criticized here, but, 66 to 68 KPSI, you start seeing some pressure signs around the primer. And what we have done is we've replaced the traditional brass cartridge with a 2-piece cartridge that uses the body as brass. So you get all the benefits traditionally of brass, ease of manufacturing, and how it reacts over time in storage, and, how it reacts in the gun during firing. And then we reinforce the base with a stainless steel head that allows us to increase pressure of the round. And so that pressure can be increased all the way to 120 kpsi without any pressure signs at all within the casing.
Holy cow. 120,000 psi. And we've all been raised to think that 65,000 was the top end of what we could do.
Well, yeah, and if you look at everyone that, is competitive or, just individually trying to push, performance aspects of their ammo, they're always trying to get an extra 25, 50 feet per second. And if you look at cartridge design over the last 100 years, it's always, how do I take, a traditional cartridge, maybe I change the shoulder a little bit, or maybe I do a little bit with the taper and, to get an extra, a little bit extra pressure so I can get that extra 50 feet per second in velocity.
Right.
And, we can take a traditional, I think your audience probably, a good bellwether cartridge is I call the 308 175 grain Sierra Match King. I think most people have a familiarity with that, with at least within medium caliber cartridges, right?
Right.
I call that a bellwether round. And so what the hybrid allows you to do is, not even really pushing the pressure envelope very high. When I say not very high, 70 to 72 kpsi, I can take that round and I can give you, 22-inch velocities out of a 16-inch barrel.
So you're really talking about adding another 300 or so feet per second, ballpark.
Yeah, realistically, that's what it's about, 350 feet per second over what a traditional round would be at that barrel length. So you
go from being our standard, it really becomes a magnum out of a standard, if you will, just to try to put it in different kind of terms. And now, are we talking about the 277 Fury, or can you do this across the board with other calibers, other diameters?
Yeah, we've got projects in the work from 5.56 all the way into the 338 Norman, Lapua Magnum, everything in between there. When you look at our primary effort right now with the 277 Fury and the 6.8 hybrid for the Army, that lends itself right in from the case head diameter to 308, 6.5, 260. And so, a good way of looking at it, and there's a lot of ways you can go with it, but, I look at a 175 grain Sierra Match King out of a 300 short mag. I can give you that same velocity out of a 308. I can't quite give you 300 Winchester Magnum velocities, but when I say can't quite, I'm about 80 feet per second short on a 190.
Where you probably could if you went longer on the barrel length.
Yeah, of course. But, when you think about, when you think about it from let's just talk, a tactical aspect is now rather than needing a, say, 20-inch barrel in order to shoot, 8 to 1,200 meters with a tactical sniper rifle, military sniper rifle, I can get those velocities out of 14.5 to 16-inch barrels, providing me the opportunity to have a much more useful rifle. I can enter, I can clear, I can climb. I'm more, my movement's a little bit easier in and around tight, confined spaces, vehicles. So, there's a tactical advantage to being able to take 8 inches off my barrel.
Well, and take that and say, okay, from a hunter standpoint, you take that and put it into something like a SIG Cross, and now you've got a lightweight rifle with a 16-inch barrel, and now you've got a mountain rifle or a hills rifle, if you will, that still has the capability of a much longer barreled rifle. That's a real advantage, too.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. When you look at the SIG Cross, between 6.5 and 6.75 pounds, depending on caliber. And I'm giving you, about 92% of 7mm mag performance. I mean, that changes the world, right? I don't need a long action. I don't need a heavy gun, and I have the ability to, lighten my load and increase my endurance. And maybe that gets me to the next ridge or, just makes my life easier in general.
What's the availability of this to the consumer right now?
Well, I mean, the pause on that is I don't necessarily know the commercial numbers being on the military side. I know it is our priority on the 277 side. We do have projects going in 6.5 Creedmoor and in 308, for the military customer. And then, like I said, from 5.56 to 338 for the military customer. So I don't know what the unveiling aspect is for those alternate calibers. I know we have delivered some 277 to the market, but I don't know the numbers on that.
Well, you know what? I'll pick that up next week when we're all together in New Hampshire. We'll find out a little bit more. I'm sure we'll get some information about that. This is, as you say, this is a paradigm shift. This is completely different. It's not just let's go to an actively improved, sharper shoulder. This is we're going to actually get 3, 4, 5, who knows how many 100 feet per second more out of your rifle. And here's a question for you. Everybody's yelling at me right now into the radio. Can you reload this brass?
Yeah, 100%. It has all the attributes of brass. The only difficulty you might have to do is on your resizing die, just set it a little bit short because, the steel is not going to expand and need to be resized. And depending on your resizing die, you can get the head to bind and kind of get stuck sometimes in your resizing die. But, when we first started, we used traditional, resizing dies to take 308 brass and make 260, and we stepped it down and stepped it up, and that's how we began to play with it. So that's the beauty of it. It benefits all of those things that have benefited brass development and cartridges over the last 150 years. It maintains all of those great qualities: ease of manufacture, cost of materials. It even utilizes one of the most important things. It utilizes legacy manufacturing infrastructure. So, some people might have a worry that, okay, what's going to happen when the rest of the world, we're NATO specific on 762 and 556. How's the rest of the world going to adapt? The beauty that we looked at with hybrid is how do we take our legacy manufacturing equipment and how do we make this without needing a tremendous infrastructure investment, not only for ourselves, but the rest of the world and Lake City.
Wow.
And,
this is a massive change. I mean, I'm still trying to get my head around thinking, okay, what could you do with another 20 or 30,000 PSI and the velocities you get out of a short action? It's pretty amazing when you start spinning it up.
Well, and I think the other thing to think about is this is just the tip of the iceberg. Until the Army validated, our technology with the Next Gen program, powder companies haven't optimized, primer companies haven't optimized, and, projectile companies haven't optimized what performance is necessary to get something to work in the 80 to 90 kpsi range. Our Next Gen guns are running about 77 to 78 kpsi. And when we talk about going up 350 feet per second over traditional velocities, we're operating at 72 to 74, depending on the caliber. And, most modern guns are proof to 80 kpsi. They're 20% over what their SAMI pressures are. So most guns are proof to 80 kpsi. Now, what I would tell you is if I was, an owner of a Ruger, M77 and 308 Winchester, I would be, as soon as Winchester Hybrid gets on the shelves, I would be reaching out to the manufacturers. And if I was a manufacturer, I would want my gun to be validated for 80 kpsi ammunition. I know as a firearms manufacturer, we've never, up until this development, we only pressure tested our guns to 80 kpsi because that's all we ever needed to.
Sure. Why would you?
And we've pulled plenty of our guns off of our catalog, and we've proofed them to 100. And just to see if we could get them there. So there are probably, if manufacturers are willing to, to vouch for the validity of, hybrid ammunition in their platforms, which would make a lot of sense. It keeps the user in their gun. Then, this has an opportunity to really just change the ammunition landscape because, every year there's 4 new cartridges that come out, right?
Yeah, right.
And guns and ammo has got 2 or 3 of them on the cover. Is this the new thing? And if you really think about it, 6.5 Creedmoor is probably the only one that has had profound success and really took hold in the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years. Of course, there's a lot that kind of get a little niche hold on, but I'd say that one is one that's pretty successful, and there's some that do have some limited success, but, the other advantage of it is especially in nowadays when you're traveling is I would hate to take my 28 Nosler on an airplane and have TSA grab my ammo and I'm landing in Wyoming for a hunt and I've got to go find my ammo, right?
Right. Well, Zimbabwe.
Yeah, in this situation, if you had a hybrid 308 that's giving you 300, better than 300 Win short mag performance, in worst case scenario, if I lost my ammo, I can still just go get traditional 308.
Yeah, just sight it in again and keep on going. That is fabulous.
Just keep on going.
Jason, this is great information. I am so looking forward to learning more about it. You're going to be there this week when I'm up there, right?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Good deal. We'll get together, shoot the breeze about this and some other things. And, we'll get to talk about guns and ammo. What could be better, right?
Yeah, that's my everyday. A lot of folks tell me how great a job I have. And I said, I think I shoot emails more than I shoot guns, though, so.
Well, that's okay. We'll shoot some guns this week. How's that?
That sounds great, sir.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Have a good flight, man. We'll see you in a few days.
All right, thank you. Hey, thanks for your time, bud. All right, bye.
You bet it. Take care. That was, wow, holy cow. I knew they were running pressures up to 80,000 for the 277 Fury from SIG. I had no idea they had pushed it up to 120,000 PSI. I mean, that's really amazing. Chicken and egg deal. We're going to have the high-pressure ammo. Will the gun makers proof their guns? Will they certify their guns for use with this hybrid ammo? Or will it be only SIG guns? Well, yet to be determined.